Welcome to Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. I'm your host, Jill Jardine, Master's in Counseling Psychology, professional astrologer, psychic healer, and yogi. In this episode, I will explain the significance of Saturn and Neptune conjuncting in February 2026. It's a major planetary event. Stay tuned until the end of the episode when I explain what it means for each zodiac sign. Welcome to the episode on the Saturn-Neptune Conjunction in Aries, exact on February 20th, 2026, and then through late February through early March 2026. Saturn and Neptune remain extremely close, around 1 to 2 degrees Aries, for about a week or more after the exact date of February 20th, extending the window of potency. This will affect us all now and in the future. So here's a little bit about the backstory. What was happening in 2025, from about mid-2025, Saturn and Neptune began their dance in early Aries, growing closer through the summer of 2025, especially late July and early August, when they hover about 1 degrees Aries. This is the first whisper of a major structural shift. Then Neptune returns to Aries on January 26, 2026. And Neptune is in Aries for the long haul till 2039. This rewrites the collective imagination in a fiery, action-oriented mode, setting the scene for Saturn's arrival. Go back and listen to the podcast that I did in January 2026 on Neptune transiting Aries. Saturn arrives in Aries in mid-February 2026, February 13th to be exact, picking up where it left off in 2025, with discipline and structure joining the dream energy Neptune has now established. They come together for an exact conjunction on February 20th, 2026. This is a pivotal moment when Saturn and Neptune form their exact bond around 0 to 1 degrees Aries. Astrologically, this is ground zero for collective vision meeting grounded reality. And then we'll have the second pass. Even after February 20, 2026, the conjunction lingers through the end of February into early March as Saturn and Neptune dance between 1 to 2 degrees Aries, creating an extended portal for integration. So what does this all mean? Why is this important? Well, it's not just one day. It's a process, starting as early as mid-2025 and extending through the spring 2026. Because both planets retrograde and re-entered Aries. They retrograded in the fall of 2025. This influence becomes recurring and layered. It's about an evolving collective mindset and evolution. We're recalibrating. That's why people felt very disoriented maybe in late 2025 and early 2026. And we go into this new era at the exact conjunction on February 20th, 2026, which happens at 0 degrees Aries, which is called the world point, because it's the beginning of the zodiac. It's one of the most symbolically charged positions of the whole zodiac. It's the start. What makes 2026 extraordinary is that the exact point of conjunction is at that 0 degrees Aries, which is the world point, an axis of global influence, initiation, and collective identity shift. So the conjunction was felt broadly from 2025 into mid-2026 as Saturn and Neptune danced together. A little bit of historical perspective. This alignment only occurs about once every 36 to 37 years. So let's look back and see that the last major one was around 1989 to 1990. And that coincided with the fall of the Berlin Wall and the Soviet Union's dissolution. No more Soviet Union. It's Russia. So, classic Saturn Neptune collective themes are of structures dissolving and new orders emerging. 2026, here we go. The archetypes of Saturn and Neptune are Saturn rules structure, discipline, boundaries, reality, responsibility, and authority, including long term commitments and maturity. Saturn is very grounded, it's about what's tangible. Saturn makes people accountable. Go back and listen to my episode on Saturn in Aries that came out in January 2026. Now, if we look at Neptune, we have a different energy happening. Dreams, imagination, spirituality, dissolution, illusion, delusion. It also is an outer planet ruling collective unconscious. Neptune dissolves boundaries and it produces confusion without form. So here we have Saturn wants form, wants structure, wants grounding, and Neptune goes with the flow. So, what happens when Saturn and Neptune come together? We have the meeting of structure and imagination. So, we're rebuilding the future from the formative energies of Saturn and the spiritual, imaginative energies of Neptune. This is extremely exciting. It is a gateway to a new world. So it also initiates a new chapter. And there's going to be some collective or global themes that will occur. As astrologers, when we look at something happening, it's 0 degrees Aries. It's a new beginning, it's a collective reset. It's a threshold moment, a launching point for something new. We can expect reimagining of institutions. Saturn structures meet Neptune's dissolving impulse, meaning old frameworks may crack while new ones are being formed. Also, this relates very strongly to something that's been going on in our society, especially around the media and news. What is real versus what is illusion? In governance, media, geopolitics, and societal narratives. We'll see major shifts in the collective and the identity of the collective. Aries is about self assertion and beginnings. We need to redefine who we are as a society. This is also going to affect on a psychological and spiritual level as old beliefs that are not grounded dissolve. We're going to see the collective unconscious come to the surface as it has in the past years and realize that people have evolved. So, what are these illusions that people are living in? And also this sense of two realities that gets even more enhanced when Uranus goes into Gemini in late April. We're looking around and people are living in different realities. Some are delusional, some are grounded in reality, but everybody has a different version of reality. Just look at what is going on in different alternative media outlets, social media, and mainstream media. What's real and what's the narrative? So, what do? How do you navigate? You have to get really, really defined in your inner authority and grounded. Because there's a confrontation with the reality of Neptune's foggy, dreamlike pull versus Saturn's demand for clarity. Yes, it's a spiritual purification, discerning true guidance from wishful thinking. It's the beginning of a new era, 0 degrees Aries, which amplifies the energy. We have to look at what does Aries significate in astrology. Well, Aries is all about bold beginnings, individual initiative, willpower, courage, and patience. It's not slow. Aries wants to jump the gun. It's very energetic and front loaded. The Aries influence can ignite passion and action, but impatience. Where Saturn grounds, Neptune expands, and Aries drives action. So we're going to see a lot of push-pulls. We're going to see the recreation of a constructive reality. It's a time of reckoning and reintegration. This conjunction isn't just about dissolving illusions. It's about rebuilding structures that are imagination friendly, but based in reality. So, to really get a grasp on this, we have to go back to history. History always shows us patterns. And so there are Saturn-Neptune cycles that are historical, and there's been big stuff that happened. Traditionally, Saturn-Neptune conjunctions often coincide with societal restructuring, mass ideological shifts. They're epic transitions that change the historical rhythm and context. Historically, when Saturn and Neptune formed a conjunction, which, as I said earlier, is roughly every 36 to 37 years, big situations. It's not just about what's happening at the time, it's about what happens after and what unfolds. So we're going to revisit the most recent Saturn-Neptune conjunction, and it was in Capricorn. That was 1989. And there were 3 passes, March 3rd, June 24th, and November 13th, 1989. And they conjoined at 10 to 12 degrees Capricorn in a triple pass because Saturn was going retrograde. So again, I mentioned it earlier in the episode, but it was a watershed moment in late 20th century geopolitics as the Berlin Wall fell and the Soviet Union was dismantled. Classic Saturn, which is institutions, dissolving through Neptune's influence. Why does this matter? Well, Saturn in Capricorn highlighted structures, governments, and authority. Saturn rules the sign Capricorn. So we see that whole structural energy enhanced, especially with government, authority. Neptune came in 1989 and said, bye-bye, old orders.
Bye.
No more imperial power and ideologies. By Soviet Union, you no longer serve the evolution of the world. Let's go back to a previous time when Saturn and Neptune came together. 1952 to 1953. It occurred in Libra. Saturn and Neptune got together in late 52, early 1953. This reflected post-World War II restructuring, balancing partnerships, treaties, and the emergence of new global legal orders. Saturn's discipline meeting Neptune's global ideals. And because Libra, where this conjunction occurred, is all about diplomacy, we saw the rise in New World diplomacy. Really interestingly enough, that individuals were born with this in their chart, 1952 to 1953. So Saturn-Neptune conjunct in Libra, the sign of partnerships, redefined relationship when these people came of age. And all the ones I know born during that time, they were married at least once. And so it was a time when divorce was okay when these people came of age in the 70s, when they were in their 20s. And this group has had some karma around relationships as well. Previously, the Neptune-Saturn conjunction before 1952 and 53 was in 1917 in Leo. It occurred exactly on October 1st, 1917 in Leo, when Saturn and Neptune came together. And this was during World War I and the Russian Revolution, an era of dramatic shifts in national identities and personal courage leading to collective change. So let's go back again. Because of the 36, 37-year-old cycle goes back for centuries, we've also looked at past conjunctions that have happened. There was one before the 1917 in 1882. 1846, early 1800s, 1773. That was right before the American Revolution. Interesting. So all these conjunctions of Neptune and Saturn have coincided with societal rebalancing, institutional transformation, and shifts in collective belief systems. And then if we want to go back to when were they together actually in Aries, we go way back to March 28th, 1703, which is an Aries conjunction. And there's another one. Maybe you remember this in your past life. On March 29th, 1380. So it's been a while since we've had a Neptune-Saturn conjunction, all the way back to 1703. And this one is at 0 degrees Aries, the start of the zodiac, and a symbolic threshold of initiation, collective identity, and global refounding. So again, let's go back to the previous ones. 1989, in Capricorn, it was a structure, collapse, and reset. It corresponded to political and institutional breakdown. The Cold War ended. In Libra, the Saturn-Neptune Conjunction, 1952 to 53, had to do with values, justice, balance. It was linked with post-World War II alliance formulations, international legal frameworks, and diplomacy. When it was in Leo in 1917, leadership and identity, there was national revolutions and self-expression en masse. So in Aries, the sign of the individual, we can see it as a time of beginning, selfhood, and action. There'll be a unique, assertive shift towards reinvention of identity, our collective direction, and pioneering new social narratives. So here we are in this rare Aries alignment. Get ready. All this convergence in 2026. Remember, this is more than just a day. This Saturn-Neptune cycle unfolds over the next few years, involving back and forth movement between the signs, a process of dismantling and rebuilding. This is a deeper beginning. We're going to see endings, but new foundational shifts. Spiritual fire, Neptune and Aries. Go back and listen to my podcast on Neptune and Aries. This is also a degree called the Aries Point of world initiations. So a lot is going on globally. Personally, what can you do about this? Ground your visions. Neptune inspires, Saturn structures. Work with both. Discern the real from the unreal. Avoid fantasy. Use this for creativity. Take the first step. You don't have to have it all figured out. Know thyself. Use this as a time of self-mastery, integrity, and maturity. This Saturn-Neptune conjunction in 2026 is a spiritual threshold and builds new frameworks. It's not just dissolution. It's about transforming the unseen into the seen. With these two archetypal forces uniting at the start of the zodiac, they invite us into a place where vision meets structure and the future begins with intention. Stay tuned when I explain what this pivotal Saturn-Neptune conjunction means for your zodiac sign. Hi there, this is Jill Jardine, host of Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine Podcasts. I just wanted to let my listeners know that I published a book, Sacred Sound Formulas to Awaken the Modern Mind. It's available at Amazon and through my new website, JillJardine.com. Check it out. Welcome back to the part of the episode when I share what the Saturn-Neptune conjunction means for your sun sign. Aries, it's a reset. It happens in your sign in the very first degree. marking a once-in-a-lifetime reboot of your identity. Saturn asks that you take responsibility for who you're becoming, while Neptune dissolves old self-concepts and ego. It can be a little scary as you are stripped down from how you identified in the past, calling you to walk a new path. You're being asked to root yourself in integrity and not impulse. Taurus, it's a time of spiritual clearing and karmic closure. This conjunction activates your inner world, the unconscious dreams and karmic residual, because it happens in your 12th house. Saturn brings structures to what has been hidden. Neptune dissolves what no longer needs to be carried. Trust the quiet. What you dissolve now makes space for a powerful rebirth when Saturn comes across your ascendant in 2 to 3 years. Gemini, you're reshaping your future goals, friendships, sense of belonging. All those superficial alliances are dissolved. You can step away from certain groups or platforms. Align your voice with something that has meaning to your soul. Cancer. Saturn and Neptune meet at the top of your chart, redefining your career, visibility, and authority. Your old ambitions may dissolve. You're being called to embody a more spiritual, authentic version of success. Live your Dharma, Cancer. Leo, your whole view of the world is being dissolved. New spiritual, philosophical leanings are emerging. This can also bring you to a place where you have something to teach or pioneer with the wisdom you've accumulated over your life, no matter what your age is. You're asking to find your truth and then live it. Virgo, you can't control everything. This is time for you to trust and surrender. It's extremely transformational for you as you're sharing intimacy, power, and resources. Neptune dissolves illusions around control, and Saturn asks that you're emotionally honest. Look at fears around vulnerability and dependence. You're learning about surrender, which doesn't mean giving up, but trusting in your spiritual self to provide the right boundaries. Libra, as always, it's about relationships because it's happening in your relationship sector, redefining how you connect, commit, and co-create. All that glamour, fantasy, and projection onto the other is going away. And because of that, some relationships may end while others deepen. You're recalibrating your whole idea of partnership and relationships. And it's kind of exciting because you can bring in right relationship now. Scorpio, your whole life is being restructured, especially those related to your work, routines, and health. All those habits that drain you are being dissolved. Thank you, Neptune. Saturn asks that you build new structures and practices that support your spiritual and physical vitality. And it doesn't have to be all at once. Just be consistent and make small, powerful changes that will have a long-term impact. Sagittarius, it's all about creativity and self-expression, but not coming from the ego. Neptune's dissolving that. Look at what your creative gifts are, and maybe there are some that you don't even realize that are coming to the surface, and find a way to bring them out into your life and express them for yourself, not for others. Capricorn, you're looking at who you really are. Where did you come from? Your roots, your ancestry, your emotions. False security will dissolve while you're building inner security that comes from a very deep-rooted place. This is about emotional maturity and spiritual grounding. Aquarius, it's time to think, speak, and interpret reality in a very grounded way. Neptune dissolves outdated narratives. Saturn demands clarity and accountability in communication. You don't have to speak as much, but when you share your wisdom, it has to come through with precision and truth. Your words carry power. Pisces, you're looking at self-worth. It can be all redefined. Don't worry about money. Get rid of those scarcity illusions. Take Saturnian responsibility for your life. What you commit to building now can support you long term, but you have to be in alignment with your own self-worth. Feel it to heal it, Pisces. I hope you enjoyed this episode on the historical Saturn-Neptune Conjunction in Aries. Make sure to share this one. It's big astrological news. Download, subscribe, and give us a 5-star review. This is Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine, sending healing, structuring, spiritual vibrations through the quantum field.